La strada.
The street. The road is by definition the area for public use open to all, intended for the circulation of vehicles, pedestrians and animals. So we have to understand the road as everything we see between private property on the one hand, to private property on the other. Beware that there are many quizzes that try to make you fall on this part. To understand better, the road is not only what we see covered with asphalt, but includes other relevant parts, such as the quays, sidewalks and cycle paths, and finally the rest areas and the emergency lane. All these appliances are part of the street. The road can be one-way or two-way traffic. Furthermore, the road can be divided into several carriageways.
La carreggiata.
The carriageway is the part of the road that we see normally asphalted and included between the continuous left and right margin lines, intended for the circulation of motorized and non-motorized vehicles. The traffic lanes, the overtaking lanes, the cycle and pedestrian crossings are part of the carriageway. So be careful not to confuse road and carriageway in quizzes. The quays, laybys, cycle paths, sidewalks and emergency lanes of motorways are not part of the carriageway, even if they are part of the road. The carriageways can be one-way or two-way traffic. Each carriageway can be divided into several lanes.
La corsia.
The lane. The lane is a part of the carriageway which allows the movement of only one row of vehicles. It can never be two-way traffic and does not allow any type of vehicle to travel alongside another. Inside it is bounded by continuous or discontinuous stripes and can be of various types. Lane intended for the normal running of vehicles. Overtaking lane intended for overtaking. Specialized lane used for example for vehicle turning maneuvers. Lane reserved for the circulation of certain categories of vehicles such as buses and taxis. Lane intended for emergency stop in case of breakdown or discomfort. There may be lanes on which a mandatory minimum speed imposed by the road owner must be observed. The lane can be acceleration or deceleration. To enter or exit the highway, the acceleration lane is used to increase speed, i.e. accelerate by entering correctly and more easily on the highway or main suburban. It is found when you leave the service area and return to the motorway. The acceleration and deceleration lanes must never be used for overtaking. The deceleration lane, that is the deceleration, is used to facilitate and correctly execute the exit of vehicles from the motorway or from a main suburban road. It can be found to enter the service area, but it can never be used for parking vehicles.
La banchina.
The quay and part of the road located outside the carriageway, located beyond the continuous white margin line. Normally it does not allow the transit of vehicles and does not allow stopping or parking, except in an emergency.
Il marciapiede.
The sidewalk. The sidewalk is a part of the causeway or bounded road, protected outside the carriageway, intended for the circulation of pedestrians and for the parking of vehicles only and exclusively in the presence of special parking strips.
L'intersezione. Incrocio.
The intersection at level intersection, also called level crossing, is the area common to several roads that cross at the same level, i.e. on the same plane, therefore not at different or overlapping levels that we will see below. It can be set by traffic lights and requires attention to vehicles coming from other roads crossing intersections at staggered levels. It includes ramps, overpasses, or underpasses that allow the sorting of vehicles between roads located at different heights, facilitating circulation since it excludes direct intersection between vehicles. It is never regulated by traffic lights, but it still requires you to moderate your speed and respect the general maximum limits.
L'isola di traffico.
The traffic island. The traffic island is a part of the road on which the parking and transit of all vehicles are prohibited and serves to facilitate the burying of vehicles in various directions. It can be satin painted with white color temperatures and bordered by solid white stripes, or it can be a raised traffic island. Normally the traffic island is raised and preceded by the white color temperatures. The island is level.
Il salvagente.
The life preserver is a raised element of the road which, placed at pedestrian crossings, facilitates the boarding and alighting of passengers from trams, trolley buses and buses, but also serves to shelter, protect, or stop pedestrians crossing the road. It can be indicated by light columns with a fixed yellow light. Be careful not to confuse the life jacket with the traffic divider, which instead serves to divide the directions of travel.
L'attraversamento pedonale.
The pedestrian crossing. Pedestrian crossing is a part of the carriageway where vehicles must give way to pedestrians crossing on the appropriate strips. It is marked with parallel white stripes and is intended for the transit of pedestrians crossing. It is part of the carriageway and therefore allows vehicles to pass overhead but does not allow vehicles to stop or park on the strips.
Area pedonale.
Pedestrian area. The pedestrian area allows the transit, in addition to pedestrians, of bicycles, vehicles, the service of disabled people and zero-emission electric vehicles, if expressly permitted in the road sign that delimits it. Normally, the transit of motor vehicles and cars is not allowed, unless otherwise indicated. In pedestrian areas, police and fire brigade vehicles with siren and blue flashing lights can pass.
La zona a traffico limitato.
The restricted traffic area. A restricted traffic area is an area in which circulation can be restricted only to categories of users or vehicles. In some hours of the day,
Il passo carrabile.
the driveway is an area for accessing and parking vehicles to the properties on the side of the road that allows vehicles circulating on the public road to access a side area used for parking or private properties, such as garages and patios. The driveway must be marked by a special sign indicating the entity as the municipality or province that authorized its opening and the authorization number. Parking is not allowed at the driveway, while stopping is allowed if the transit of incoming or outgoing vehicles is not prevented.
Il passaggio a livello.
The level crossing and the railway crossing on the same level of the carriageway, suitably marked, and preceded by geometric distance panels. Be careful in the quizzes not to confuse the level crossing with the tram crossing that we will see below. In a level crossing you can find barriers or semi-barriers.
La croce di Sant'Andrea.
Andrew's Cross, the red lights, fixed or flashing, is an acoustic signaling device.
L'autostrada.
The highway. The motorway is a road with carriageways separated by median or independent, without level intersections, equipped with special lanes for entry, acceleration and deceleration exit and variable message signs. The motorway is intended for the circulation of certain categories of motor vehicles, including cars, motorcycles with at least 150 cubic centimeters of displacement. Certain vehicles, including animal-powered vehicles, cycles such as bicycles, mopeds, and agricultural machinery, are not allowed to circulate on the motorway.
La strada extraurbana principale.
The main extraurban road. The main extraurban road is a road with separate carriageways without intersections and level, but with intersections at staggered levels, equipped with special parking areas, indicated by start and end road signs. The main suburban roads are equipped with acceleration lanes for entry. They are marked with blue signs and allow the circulation of only certain categories of motor vehicles. On the main suburban roads, the general maximum speed limit of 110 km per hour applies. Even in the main suburban areas, such as on the motorways, the transit of some vehicles is not allowed, including mopeds, cycles, and agricultural machinery. Let's now see some images that occur in the quizzes to better understand the concepts of road and carriageway. The carriageway of the type shown is two-way traffic, with two lanes in each direction of travel, where the outer lanes are for normal travel and the inner ones are reserved for overtaking on the carriageway shown. It is not possible to make a U-turn due to the presence of the double continuous longitudinal line, while it is possible to overtake on the left even when cornering, making sure that no one from behind has already started the same maneuver. The road represented is composed of a carriageway with 3 lanes for each direction of travel in the road represented for each direction of travel. The right lane is dedicated to normal traffic, while the center and left lanes are normally dedicated to overtaking. The road represented is made up of 3 carriageways separated by 2 central dividers, which you see represented by the green stripe, and 8 lanes. In this road, the central carriageway is normally 2-way traffic, while the side carriageways are usually 1-way. When driving along the side or central carriageway, overtaking is usually allowed even when cornering, since there are at least 2 lanes in each direction of travel.
Veicoli.
Vehicle is meant any vehicle, even without an engine, driven by man. On the road, excluding baby carriages and those serving the disabled. Vehicles can be without engines, such as bicycles. Vehicles pushed by arms and by animal traction. We will see in detail some motor vehicles and not present in the quizzes. And let's start with mopeds. The mopeds are A20 3-wheeled vehicles with a heat engine up to 50 cubic centimeters of displacement and a maximum speed of 45 kilometers per hour. They are subject to a periodic technical inspection, revised every 4 years, from the first registration and subsequently every 2 years. Motorcycles are 2-wheeled vehicles that have a displacement greater than 50 cubic centimeters. Unlike mopeds, they can be equipped with manual or automatic transmission and are subject to periodic technical inspection. Inspection 4 years after the first registration and every 2 years thereafter. Attention in the quizzes not to confuse motorcycles, mopeds, and motor tricycles with motor vehicles and with 3 symmetrical wheels, as they have a central front wheel with respect to the 2 rear wheels. It is equipped with an engine with a displacement greater than 50 cubic centimeters and a maximum construction speed of more than 45 kilometers per hour. They cannot be driven without a license and are subject to periodic technical checks. Inspection after 4 years from the first registration and subsequently every 2 years. The city car, on the other hand, is a car with asymmetrical wheels, unlike tricycles with single or 2-seater bodywork. Placed alongside the motorcycle, quadricycles are motor vehicles which, despite having 4 wheels, do not fall into the category of motor vehicles with a power lower than or equal to 15 kilowatts. They are subject to periodic inspection and are driven with a Category A license if they are not of the light type. We pay attention because there are 2 types of light and non-light quadricycles. Light quadricycles, in fact, for the purposes of circulation are assimilated to mopeds. If powered by petrol, they have a displacement of less than or equal to 50 cubic centimeters, and if equipped with a diesel or electric engine they have a power equal to or less than 4 kilowatts. Light quadricycles are driven with the certificate of fitness to drive mopeds. Motor vehicles are motor vehicles with at least 4 wheels. Excluding quadricycles, which are a category. The category of motor vehicles includes trucks, buses and motorhomes. The car is part of the 4-wheeled vehicles and is intended for the transport of up to 9 people, including the driver, in addition to 9 seats. It is no longer a car but a bus. The cars can have front or rear thermal or electric motors of the traction type, that is with the wheels connected to the front-rear engine, or integral, that is with 4 driving wheels. They are subject to periodic review after 4 years from the first registration and every 2 years thereafter. Passenger cars can tow trolleys, appendages, or trailers. Motorhomes are vehicles with special bodywork and equipped to be used for the transport and accommodation of people. Within the maximum number indicated in the registration certificate, motorhomes are subject to periodic inspection after 4 years from the first registration and every 2 years thereafter. Caravans are trailers equipped to be used as accommodation only with the vehicle stationary and not during circulation. They are equipped with their own plate and a repeater plate bearing the same plate as the driving vehicle. Trailers or semi-trailers are vehicles without an engine, intended to be towed, such as for example the caravan or light trailer with a maximum laden mass of up to 750 kilograms. Agricultural machines and operating machines with wheels or self-propelled tracks, that is, equipped with their own engine or towed, can circulate on the road for their own transfer if registered, also for the purpose of transporting agricultural products on behalf of agricultural and forestry companies. They can travel at a maximum speed of 40 km per hour if equipped with rubber tires. 15 km per hour if with tracks. Agricultural machinery can be equipped with special equipment for carrying out agricultural operations. Even the operating machines can be equipped with special equipment, as in the case of snowplows. Let's now see some signaling panels that must be applied on certain vehicles. The quadrangular panel in the figure indicates the transport of loads protruding from the rear of the vehicle. The panel in the figure indicates the transport of dangerous, flammable, explosive, corrosive goods. During circulation, trucks with a maximum laden mass exceeding 3.5 tons must be marked at the rear with retroreflective panels in the figure, to allow the driver of the following vehicle to understand what type of vehicle he is in front of. During circulation, trailers, and semi-trailers for the transport of goods with a maximum laden mass exceeding 3.5 tons, must be marked at the rear with the retroreflective panels in the figure, so as to allow the driver of the following vehicle to understand that he is following a complex of vehicles, lorries or articulated lorries. During circulation, lorries and trailers with a maximum laden mass exceeding 3.5 tons must be marked with retroreflective rear and side stripes. The lateral stripes can be white or yellow, while those applied on the back can be red or yellow. Well guys, we have seen how the road is made. We have seen some types of vehicles that interest us to solve our quizzes. Now let's go into some concepts concerning respect for the road and respect for other users, i.e. road users. The street reflects a little of our civilization, so people behave on the street, for better or for worse, a little like they behave in life.
Rispettiamo la strada.
We respect the road. It is forbidden to remove, move or soil the road signs of any type of danger, indication or work in progress, since the driver must respect the decorum and cleanliness of the road, avoiding behaviors such as throwing paper or lighted cigarette butts from the window, as it constitutes a fire hazard. It also constitutes a danger, especially if two-wheeled vehicles arrive whose drivers can cause serious injuries. It is forbidden to smear the road by spreading mud or debris. For this behavior you risk an administrative sanction. Therefore, when exiting a muddy path or a construction site, make sure that no dirt falls during the journey that could dirty the road. And if necessary, the wheels of the vehicle must be cleaned. It is forbidden to travel with oil leaking from the engine to avoid danger to other users. In addition, administrative penalties may be incurred. Fine. The driver who notices that his vehicle is leaking oil or fuel must take all necessary actions and immediately notify the owner of the road or the police. On the roads it is forbidden to race at speed and participate in unauthorized races. The law provides for the imprisonment of the driver for this type of behavior, considered a crime. Furthermore, anyone who bets on vehicles participating in unauthorized speed races on public roads is punished with imprisonment. When traveling in line with other vehicles, you must not limit yourself to observing only the vehicle in front, but you must also pay attention in the distance to check the traffic situation, avoiding moving to the center of the roadway and still maintaining a safe distance. Even in heavy traffic.
Doveri del conducente nel centro abitato.
Duties of the driver in the built-up area. In a built-up area it is necessary to be more careful, prudent and tolerant due to the greater number of users interacting in the urban environment, taking into account that the flow of traffic is often hampered, interrupted by vehicles that are stationary, starting or changing direction. Furthermore, it must be considered that the precedence of intersections can often change and that other road users, such as pedestrians, cyclists, or disabled people, mix more with motorized traffic, and it is often necessary to give them priority. It is therefore necessary for the driver to continue to maintain concentration while driving, even if the reasons for distraction in built-up areas could increase. Among the various behaviors to be kept on the road, the driver must proceed at low speed over the puddles. Accumulations of water. As we have said previously, it is not allowed for any reason to move the vertical signs, even if temporary, to park the vehicle. The driver of a vehicle, in addition to respecting the specific traffic rules, must maintain a correct and tolerant relationship with other road users, protecting his own and others' safety and respecting the traffic agents with whom he must collaborate for greater fluidity and traffic safety. When approaching an intersection, the driver must always use the utmost caution even when he has right of way, trying to predict the behavior of other drivers which may not be correct. In fact, the right of way does not authorize the driver to cross the intersection without using caution, and therefore the driver cannot expect to pass first when the doubt arises that he is not given priority. The driver of a vehicle must be patient and tolerant even in the event of a slowdown in traffic, regardless of the larger size or greater power of their vehicle.
Comportamenti verso pedoni, ciclisti e motociclisti.
Regarding other behaviors towards pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists, an accident even at low speed could create serious physical problems if pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists are involved. It is therefore necessary to frequently check in the rearview mirror if a cyclist or motorcyclist arrives, especially after parking the vehicle on the side of the roadway, avoiding opening the door without being sure not to create danger. In fact, it is necessary to consider that the internal pillars of vehicles affect visibility, reducing the possibility of seeing a cyclist or motorcyclist.
Doveri dei motociclisti.
Duties of motorcyclists. The driver of a motorcycle must avoid negative behavior, such as slalom between vehicles stopped at traffic lights on the pavement if traffic on the carriageway is blocked, or park on the pavement even if there are no suitable parking spaces, to ensure traffic safety and avoid accidents. The driver of a two-wheeled vehicle is allowed to circulate, bringing a pet with him if kept in a special cage if it does not protrude by more than 50 centimeters.
Utenti deboli.
Weak users. The driver must have respect for weak road users. He must therefore use greater caution towards people with disabilities, elderly people, children crossing the street. Drivers who demonstrate uncertain driving. Drivers of vehicles adapted for people with disabilities. People on bicycles and with limited mobility. The driver must stop and give way to the blind pedestrian with the white cane and the deaf-blind pedestrian with the white, red stick who cross the road outside the pedestrian crossing, even if not far away, facilitating their crossing, even if they are not accompanied from a guide dog, also avoiding abrupt braking or honking so as not to frighten them. The behavior towards the blind pawn with the white stick is also valid towards the deaf-blind pawn with a red, white stick. Greater caution should be exercised towards pedestrians pushing a baby wheelchair and pregnant women, avoiding getting too close with the vehicle to avoid frightening them and allowing them to cross the road without rushing. Taking into account the limitations to movements that the particular physical condition entails, when parking a vehicle, it is forbidden to obstruct any slides on the sidewalk in order not to prevent the passage of pedestrians pushing a wheelchair for children. Older people crossing the road are at greater danger because they may misjudge the speed of oncoming vehicles, as their visual and hearing abilities are no longer excellent. Elderly people, given their age, do not react promptly to dangerous situations and may not pay adequate attention to vehicles and who often do not look either to the right or to the left. They may also suddenly stop in the middle of the road when older people cross the roadway. Don't get too close to the vehicle to prevent them from feeling threatened and reacting with dangerous movements.
Comportamento verso pedoni che attraversano a un semaforo.
Behavior towards pedestrians crossing at a traffic light before engaging an intersection. After the green light of the traffic light has gone off, the driver must wait until the pedestrians have finished crossing the road. When there are children stopped at the traffic lights, caution must be exercised as they could suddenly cross the road as soon as the light of the vehicular traffic light changes from green to yellow, or cross, even if their red traffic light, believing that children at the traffic light lasts too long, could invade the roadway pushing each other until they get off the sidewalk, even if they are accompanied by an adult.
Comportamento verso ciclisti.
Behavior towards cyclists. Since the march of cyclists sometimes occurs with slight skids, the driver of a vehicle must take this particularity into account when overtaking. Therefore, the driver who intends to overtake cyclists and pedestrians occupying the carriageway must exercise great caution and maintain an adequate lateral safety distance by honking the horn before overtaking it. In case of suburban road, the driver must be especially cautious in the vicinity of a pedestrian crossing. Considering that older people usually cross slowly and with difficulty and that the reactions of children crossing are unpredictable and therefore can create danger, the driver must also consider that the pedestrian, when crossing the road, can become insecure and suddenly turn back into proximity to a pedestrian crossing. The driver must consider that vehicles parked near the strips block the view of pedestrians and therefore children could suddenly come out. Among the vehicles parked, driving a vehicle in the vicinity of a bus stop area carrying schoolchildren. Beware of children who may have started crossing the roadway, perhaps in a hurry, hidden from the bus, preparing to brake to avoid danger for children. In fact, it is possible that children get off the bus without paying attention to oncoming vehicles. The driver, near a taxi stand, must be careful to pedestrians who can suddenly cross the street without the necessary precautions. In the descent from public transport, it is also forbidden to park in the parking spaces reserved for taxis both day and night.